Welcome back to another edition of Strengthening Oklahoma. And this edition of Strengthening Oklahoma is brought to you by The Garage. Visit eatatthegarage.com to find a location near you and order online from the garage in your neighborhood. Wow, what a win in Lincoln, Nebraska over the weekend. Sooners go out to Lincoln and absolutely roll. And a man that was all over the field making noise throughout the course of that ball game. We have our linebacker, DaShaun White, with us. DaShaun, great win, man. How you feeling?
Man, I feel good. Besides the targeting, obviously, but I feel good.
We can get to the targeting in a second. I feel like we should start with some good. There was so much good from that ball game. Then we can get to the targeting. But man, we talked about, everybody talked about it all week. We thought Nebraska would have, all this energy and firing their coach, and you don't know exactly what to expect, and they're going to leave it all on the field. And it felt that way. The crowd was in a frenzy. They come out, they go right down and score. Walk us through what was said on the sideline. What's going on out there when they go down and score in that initial drive?
Honestly, like I was saying before the game, Coach Venables had told us that they were going to come out on an initial surge. They're going to have a lot of energy. They're going to have a lot of you got to think they just went through a lot, and so they were going to come out and they were going to put their best foot forward. And we knew that they were going to have to handle some early adversity and just kind of work through that. But we just knew once the game settled in and we got a chance to, kind of calm down and execute, that we'd be able to really separate. And, we did just that.
So looking back at that first drive for Nebraska, I know you guys have had a chance to go back and watch the film already as a defense. So what happened, right? I know you guys came out in the 3-man front, but did they show you some things that you hadn't seen from them? Like what led to them being able to put that drive together the way that they did?
I think they just kind of, they caught us more so. We were really kind of shooting ourselves in the foot more than they were making plays, if that makes sense. And playing defense, that seems to be a problem a lot, across the country. And so we just kind of, like I said, we have to settle down. There were a lot of situations when, Billy was he's high and he's behind me, and we're both triggering on the run, and they're throwing the screen. And then they did the exact opposite thing, and we both went to the screen and they ran the run. So it was just, we had to settle in. We had to, remember our keys and just do our job.
You guys did settle in, and you were making plays all over the field. They don't score again until late in this ball game after that initial drive. The response was incredible. And I got to tell you, man, I've watched you play a lot of football. You played a lot of football. That was as fast as I think I've seen you play. You were flying around. You were coming in on blitzes. You were detached on one. They tried to throw the bubble outside. No, it was incomplete. You were on it immediately. It just seemed like in this defense right now, you've got such a good understanding and you got so much ability to fly around and make plays. Just talk to us about that, your comfort level, and what did you assess prior to the targeting call or the way you played there in Lincoln?
I think I did fairly well. I left some plays out there, most definitely. But ever since I moved to this spot, I was really kind of comfortable as soon as I got there. I thought that there was a lot of things that I did well that Coach V wanted out of this position. And so just honestly being able to just get back to that spot, it was good for me. I just got to play fast, play with a high level of anticipation, a whole lot of film work last week. And I think that just really allowed me to play ahead of the play, what felt like literally the entire game. So,
Looking at a couple of those blitz situations, my favorite play of yours in the game, you come off the edge. Did you feel bad bullying the left tackle like you did on the sack? Like after it, were you like, hey man, I'm sorry that I embarrassed you and your entire family with that? Man, how is the left tackle going to let that happen to him from a guy coming off kind of the nickel position? What's he doing, man?
Man, I couldn't tell you. He was setting it way too far back, and the speed to power was there. And so I just
you physically removed him from your person, man. Yes. I was like, damn.
No doubt. No doubt. He was way too high. His pad level was too high. And shoot, I know something about that. But no, I just hit him with speed to power. And I knew I wanted to get to Casey. I knew I wanted to get to Casey at least once or twice. I should have got there more than I did, but I knew I wanted to get to him a few times. And so I was happy that, I could start it off like that.
It was great to see, man. You kind of got the party started. You guys with 4 sacks, 9 more tackles for loss. And the one thing that I noticed in, just the different ways of defense that Coach V brings pressure, and sometimes just 4-man, but it's tough to identify. And you can tell you guys confused the heck out of the Nebraska offensive line. They didn't know where it was coming from. There were free runners. After you went out, Kennett came clean a couple times. Just talk about this scheme and how much pressure it forces on offensive lines to ID and figure out exactly what you guys are trying to do.
Yeah. Like you said, we're doing so much. I mean, we line up 1,000 different ways. This is a lot for an offense to have to go throughout a week and try to rep all these different fronts with all these different blitzes. And we can get up there in a totally different front and everybody drops out. We can get up there and all the people you see might drop, and then there's somebody that you don't see that's coming. We're so versatile in our blitzes, and I think that, that's a scary thing for offense to have to prepare for.
When you look at what the style you guys played in this game, very different than what we saw from you guys defensively. It just from a structural standpoint, right? With what we saw at UTEP and Kent State. Was this stuff you guys were saving for this game in particular?
I don't really know. I think we were kind of saving this package for just this part of the season. Because it was something that during fall camp, they introduced to us really early, even in spring ball, it was something that we were repping quite a bit. But I think, like you said, like our coaches, they take pride in being able to kind of confuse offensive coordinators. Like I know Coach Roof and Coach V were saying, like the first game we played a lot of 2 and 4. Then the second game we played a lot of man, so people are like, are they a zone team? Are they a man team? And then we come out in Cyclone and we're blitzing all over the place. And it's just like, it's hard to know what exactly we're coming with. And we're so, like I said, versatile. There's that word again. It's hard for offenses. I can imagine.
It's awesome. And it's a credit to you guys too, because he's put a lot on you in a short amount of time, spring, and then really this fall camp. And I thought you guys executed an extremely high level on all 3 levels, right? Because back end doing a good job. There was that one early, the guy gets free and then that deep post shot. But other than that, I thought everything was really well executed. And the beauty of it is now, starting with Kansas State this week, they got to prepare for all of it. You guys have shown everything. And so now you got to prepare for all these different things. And that's what's great. When you have that kind of versatility, the menu is just so big for y'all's coaching staff to be able to pick from. And it just seems like you guys are playing with a supreme level of confidence right now.
Yeah. No, I think it comes down to as simple as we trust Coach V, he's smart. He's played a lot of these offensive coordinators already. And so he just knows exactly how he wants to attack every single team. And so it makes it easy. Like he'll show us film. Like this is the OC. Like let's say just this last week, we watched a lot of Pitt film, Pitt versus Clemson. And he was like, this is the OC. This is what they like to do. And we got to the game and it was the exact same thing that they like to do. So it's one of those things like it's really easy to trust him when he's always right.
Yeah. Now, and Dusty mentioned it, but I want to go back to that bubble. Because I think you talk about the preparation, the recognition, all the time you guys are putting in with Venables, with Coach Roof, and that entire defensive staff.
Yeah.
Have you ever jumped the bubble to where the ball hit you in the back like it did? I mean, listen, man, I've seen a lot of football. Dusty, I don't think I've ever seen that. I don't think I've ever seen a dude get drilled in the back with a bubble.
He knew it was coming as soon as the ball was snapped. It was like cheating.
Yeah. I wish I turned and caught it, but no, I broke on it. I didn't realize how fast I got there. I just read his hands. I wanted to make sure he didn't get it at that point, but I hope they try me again in the future so I can turn my head and try to get one,
I was
instead of taking it in between the 2 and the 3.
Or dang it on the side of the head, like
it looked fast on the TV part, and I was watching, but I was watching back on the tape. I rewound it like 3 times. Like, damn, did he know the play? Man,
Yeah.
he jumping the route before the receivers even moving. It was phenomenal stuff. One last thing, and then I do want to ask you about the targeting. But another thing that jumps off the tape, the level of effort. You always talk about 11 hats to the football. As you went back and watched that as a veteran guy who's been around, how proud were you to see that many Sooner helmets always around the football almost every single play?
Very proud, very proud. I think it's something that is really just a part of our identity as a defense. During the first 2 games, we were around the ball a lot, especially in that first game. We kind of set the tone for how we want it to be, and it's one of those things. Coaches always say you can't stay blocked, and we just know that uncommon effort is something that is a huge pillar in this program. It's something that it's a foundation of this program, and so when we get out there, we want to put it on display.
Okay, the time has come.
Let's talk about it.
You come clean,
Yeah.
right? Come clean. Yep. Second quarter.
Mm-hmm.
About to lay the wood on Casey Thompson.
Yeah.
Lower your head and just I could tell from your reaction. You knew right away. Oh no, I done fudged up. What maybe walk us through that play and kind of what you were thinking, and then what's that moment of realization like, man, when you know you're about to be tossed from the game?
Yeah. Well, I was trying to time that blitz up good because I wanted to come free, and I came free and he got the ball out, and so I'd hit him, and I was just playing fast. I didn't really think about how I hit him until I turned around. I seen the flag go across my face. I kind of started to think. I'm like, I know they said roughing first, and then they said targeting. I'm like, did I target? Like, I don't really. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, yeah, I probably did. Like, if I know I didn't get my head out the way, then I probably just went in there and just did whatever. And so it's funny, before the game, during the tackling drills, Coach Roof was telling me, get your pad level down. And I'm like, okay, I'm working to get my pad level down. I didn't know it would come and bite me in the butt like that. But no, it's an easy fix. Obviously want to stay as aggressive, and mean as possible. And honestly, I knew he got the ball out, but it was one of those things, like, I wanted him to sort of remember that one during the game. But yeah, I got to get my pads down. It's that simple. Yeah.
Full disclosure, I didn't think it was roughing. I thought you got there right as he released it. I did think, though, you lowered your head. And that's the one thing, see what you hit, right? And I think, and you know that. And I think that, like you said, it's something that's easily fixable. And, whenever back when I played, we didn't have targeting, right?
Yeah.
And I just wonder, I'd love to get your perspective, because you still want to play with that aggression and you want to play with that speed and that tenacity that you play with, but you also have to do it and, be mindful that, man, I've really got to be cautious not to find myself in those situations. How do you do that? How do you play fast yet not think about those things in real time while it's happening?
I think it's one of those, like, you have to practice that way. I did a few times this week. The coach was telling me to get my pad level down, and like I said, it came to bite me in the butt. So I gotta get my pad level down. I gotta keep my eyes up when I hit, and I think that's something that you just gotta constantly, like, it's a technique, and you gotta keep repping it, and it's kind of a BS rule to me a little bit, but I mean, it is what it is, and we gotta make it happen. So
it is a BS rule. I'm gonna jump in real quick. It is, and what I hate about it, I'm fine with the 15 yards. Yeah. The ejection aspect of it, I can't stand. You didn't do anything malicious. You didn't do anything with any kind of intent. But the one good part, if there is a good part, you missed the second half. You're back for the first half against Kansas State. Yeah. And you balled out early in the game, so at least you put some really good film out there, and your team was in a good spot. And then lastly, then Jaron Canick comes in.
Man, yeah.
And the kid, we knew the kid had a lot of talent. Mm-hmm. And when you left, that opened the door. Yeah. And what did you see from him? And I'm just curious, like, that had to excite you be an old head to see that
Yeah.
young buck come in there and play as well as he
Man.
did. He was flying around.
Yeah, no, he was turning me up, man. I thought first I think Coach Venables kind of hit it on the money. Like he made a lot of plays, but he still doesn't know how to play linebacker yet. And it's like insane. It's insane. Like he's gonna get to the point where like the sky is the absolute limit for him. He's so good. He has a nose for the ball. He's fast. I mean, he's got all the things that you want. And so, like I said, when he finally, kind of gets comfortable and, I kind of noticed this week he's starting to time his blitzes up and he's getting kind of savvy back there. And so I don't know, it puts a smile on my face. But no, when he gets it, he's going to be dang good. I think that, like I said, the sky's the limit for him.
So, and this is something that maybe people don't think about a lot, right? You get disqualified, right? But now you can stay on the sideline if you get tossed for targeting. What kind of role did you assume? And like, how were you talking to Kanik like every series? I know you were. I was on the sideline, so I'm asking a question I already know the answer to. But what was that like for you, kind of helping him out and making sure you were getting him as prepared as possible for what he was going to see on the field?
Yeah. I think first for me, like getting ejected, it was like, what's the next best thing I could do? And that was just like I wanted to talk trash with my teammates. I wanted to be the first, like the loudest person celebrating. And so that's kind of that's the role that I had, accepted for the rest of that game. With Jaren, I was just trying to put him on a lot of the things that I was seeing out there, I felt like literally before every play, they were telling us what they were going to run just by little alignment stuff. Like when they got that bunch, the little dirty bunch, and they would, their trio is very different from that little dirty bunch. And every time they get in that dirty bunch, they would do the little RPO bubble. And so I was just trying to give him little nuggets like that. But I mean, he was playing fast. He was playing free. Not a lot of mental errors at all. But I was there, for whatever questions he had to ask or just anything like that.
That second touchdown, what was you guys upset? I mean, you guys literally after that first drive, you guys had put together a masterpiece. Yeah. Was there any upset folks on the sidelines after that second touchdown got on the board?
Oh yeah. I mean, we all know Coach V wasn't very happy, but I don't think anybody on the defense was super happy about it. It just looks a little bit better, for 9-7. But it's one of those things. It was what was the play? I can't think of it. It's a learning experience, Either way it goes, it's a learning experience. Happy to be able to get some young guys out there, get their feet wet, a little bit on the road in an environment like that. So like I said, it's a learning experience. We weren't happy about it, but it is what it is.
That game, if Venables doesn't decide to call the dogs off, that game's 60-7.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
it gets like,
that would have gotten ugly, Dusty. Ugly.
It was a statement win.
Yeah.
For you guys. I mean, it was a statement win for the Brent Venables era. It was a statement win for this team, 128, the Oklahoma Sooners of 2022. And I think you sent a message. And I would imagine within that locker room, you y'all probably thought that was in there, but to go out there on the road and do it, to me, that only raises the level and raises everybody's confidence. So I'm fired up to see what comes this week. Speaking of, let's start to look forward to this week. Kansas State. Now we're really early on, but Kansas State, Adrian Martinez, interestingly enough, from Nebraska, the quarterback. We all know about Deuce Vaughn and what this offense is. They had a crazy game yesterday, and they lose to Tulane. But early on in the week, just kind of thoughts heading into this Kansas State game. Prime time, Fox. It's going to be under the lights back there at Memorial Stadium. So just kind of what are the thoughts and emotions here as you guys are moving past that Nebraska win onto Big 12 play with Kansas State?
I still haven't got to watch that Tulane game, but we kind of feel like we know them a little bit. We know what they like to do. They're going to be a hard-nosed team. They're going to play physical. They're going to be disciplined. they're going to want to come in there and run the ball down our throats. But I think that's where it's all going to start. We got to stop the run. We got to make them predictable. And, we stop the run on first, second down. I think that's going to put a big smile on Coach Roof and Coach Venable's face for the, third down calls. So we stop the run. I think everything sort of handles itself after that.
This is a dumb question. How do you prepare? How do you prepare for a guy like Deuce Vaughn?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, it seems like it's near impossible to simulate what that guy can do when it comes from an elusiveness standpoint. You know what I mean?
No doubt. I think that, no, you're spot on. He's very talented. I think that one thing that will help us is just kind of seeing Eric Gray all the time. I won't say they're the same, but I think that just that elusiveness and just because I know when I speak to, or when I break down on Eric Gray, I kind of got to, you got to approach him different than a lot of backs. And I think that Deuce is kind of the same way in the sense that you really got to track that hip or you're going to lose the hip real quick, So I think that'll be one thing that we kind of have in our pocket. But, we'll chalk it up and see what happens,
Tackling with that guy, always a premium. He is so difficult in space. But definitely something you guys are up for the task for. And then Adrian Martinez, again, you probably hadn't watched a whole lot of tape yet, seen him in this offense, but I mean, he's been in Nebraska for a while. You saw him and played against him last year there on that exact same field. Just his mobility and size as a runner. What's kind of key to slowing down a guy like him, or when you guys faced him last year at Nebraska?
I think it'll be big in a lot of our zone coverages that we're ready to match. Like we're ready for him to scramble. We got to get our depth early, and we got to, like I said, we got to be ready for him to run because that's something that he kind of prides himself on, something that he's really good at. And so I think if we take that out of the game and we control the run, I think those are two really big keys for us going into this week.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys will have all kinds of fun preparing for all the shifts, all the motions, all the personnel groupings, man. That's got to be exhausting preparing for K-State.
Nah, no doubt. It'll be interesting, I'm sure. But we got the best coaches in the nation. They'll get us in the perfect position.
No doubt. A lot of tight end looks too. They love those heavy sets. So it's gonna be a physical, roll your sleeves up type of game. And obviously, Coach V's alma mater, right? I mean, he knows Kansas State football very well. Last one for me, DaShaun. Just with that win, and you guys are riding a bit of a high right now. How do you make sure that it's back to the lab, it's back to the practice field as a veteran, as a leader, as a guy who's seen a lot of things happen? How do you kind of remind those guys, hey, that's one game. We got to get back to work because that game means nothing moving forward.
We follow the leader, Coach Venables is gonna, man, when he says he's gonna strip it down to the studs on Monday, he's not joking. We're gonna go back to the drawing board. We're gonna start from like square one, and I think that it's big for us leaders to be able to follow that and to kind of pass that message along to the team. Just let guys know, we just came off a good win, but honestly, now that win means nothing. It's in the past. We got to take it back to the drawing board. We got to really earn the way we want to play this weekend on Saturday. We got to earn it Monday through Friday. And so that's been a big thing for us all season. Has been a reason why we've been able to perform, at a pretty high level. And so it's something that we got to take into this week.
That's awesome, man. Well, hey, congratulations, dude. I just got to say, I was watching from afar, whether it's in my hotel room or up in the booth getting ready for my game. I mean, you made a lot of Sooners proud, and to see the defense play at that level now consistently, and to go into that stadium and play like that, man, keep it rolling, brother.
Yes,
it's
sir.
Fun to watch.
That's the plan.
Love it. All right, man. Big thanks to DaShaun for joining us.
We got fan questions.
Oh.
Let's do it.
Damn.
Got 2 fan questions. It's okay. And our fan questions are brought to you by Love's Travel Stops. Visit loves.com for more information on the nation's leading travel stop network that's headquartered right here in the great state of Oklahoma. DaShaun, the first one comes from Kevin F., who asks, what was the locker room like after the game? Now, there were some videos out there some people dancing, but just
Yeah.
how good of a feeling is that for you and your teammates, man?
No, it was electric in there. Like it was literally a party in there for about 30, 45 minutes. I think my highlight of the entire experience was seeing we shoved Smitty in the circle and just his dance moves were like Coach V's are pretty bad, but we always kind of let him make it because he's got, he's putting his heart into it. But Smitty's dance moves were just on another level of bad. Like he was just, I don't even know how to explain it. He was like dropping it low or something. What are you doing? But honestly, just seeing him like that, it put a big smile on my face, I think that just that, I don't know, the energy in there was different, I've danced a lot in locker rooms after games, but that last dance was something special about it.
Did I see Joe C was doing
Yeah,
a little
Joe C
dancing?
got in there. I missed Joe C, man.
Joe C?
I missed it, dog. I seen the video though. But
it's a big win when that man is breaking it down.
Oh yeah, he's throwing the hat around. He's doing his little dance. Okay, yeah,
I love it. All right, one more. Jim H. Now that you've been to Lincoln for that game, what is the best road environment you've ever played in?
Ooh. I mean, that was up there. That first quarter was, I think, to have a close game in Lincoln that's scary right there. Those fans are something else. They're loud. I can think back to, I think, last year, maybe the year before. I know Iowa State was they kind of caught me by surprise going into Iowa State. They were loud.
And Iowa State,
pump it in.
Man.
They pump it in though.
Yep.
And they got like a DJ that is playing the loudest house music you've ever heard.
They pump it in, man.
No, that's what makes it different over there at Iowa State. But it's probably between those two, no doubt.
It looked awesome on TV. I know Gabe was there on the sidelines, and we're going to get some more into that environment, but it was extremely well done. Hostile environment, no problem for this version of the Oklahoma Sooners, at least as of now. 3-0. Best of luck this week with Kansas State, man, and we'll talk to you again next month.
I appreciate it.
All right, thanks to DaShaun for joining us here this week, and now it's time for me and my man Gabe to break it down. All right, the breakdown brought to you by the Oklahoma Proton Center. It's one of the top cancer centers in the region using state-of-the-art proton therapy. Oklahoma Proton Center, more than a cure, quality of life. All right, before we dive into some of the defensive stuff, you were there. You've been in a lot of great environments. Where did it stack up for you? Because it looked awesome on TV. It felt big. It felt like that place was alive. So you tell me, man, where does it? We just asked DaShaun the question. I'll ask you the question. At least in your role you're in now, it's kind of hard to compare it as a player, but in your role you're in now, where does that rank as far as road environments that you've observed from the sidelines?
It was right at the top. It really, now OU Texas is different.
That's
right?
different.
I'm not going to compare anything to the Cotton Bowl. That's just, it's a special place.
That's not a road game.
It's OU Texas. That's all you need to say.
It's a unicorn. It's a unicorn.
Exactly. But when they went up 7-0 and the Sooners went back on offense and had the ball, it was loud, man. And I'll always, because I always want to know, like, okay, how loud is it? And remember, it's louder in the center of the field than it is on the sideline. It's just how it works because everything's converging. So I always take my headphones out because I want to hear how loud it is in those moments. Boy, it was loud now. And even I remember a couple wide receivers came off the sideline after that, and they're like, dang, it's loud. I was like, it sure is, boys. So with my role now, that's about as loud as I've ever heard it anywhere. Yeah. The Baylor atmosphere in, what was the comeback game? Was that 2019, the Jalen Hurts year, where they fell down big, came all the way back? That first half when Baylor was rolling, that was an awesome atmosphere.
Great atmosphere.
Awesome. But there's just so many people, and the way the stadium is built, just like so vertically, man, it funnels some sound in there down onto the field. I was impressed, but I was glad I got the experience for a few minutes, and then it went away once Oklahoma took full control of that football game. That was nice.
And it didn't take long, right? I mean, you had the first drive, and I think everybody's kind of like, oh, man, what's this? Got this funky looking defense out there. I'm sure fans are like, what? That's not the defense that we've seen. Now, I've seen that a lot in fall camp, and I've been waiting for them to pull it out. You've seen a little bit of it on like third down packages, sub packages, but as the base defense, it has not been what they majored in, that more 3-man front. And it's what we saw almost exclusively throughout the course of that game. And they kind of go right down, and they kind of got what they wanted, right? They hit it they were getting a couple of big chunk runs. They hit the big chunk throw, even a perimeter throw that got them some yards. Like they went boom, boom, boom. And all of a sudden you're like, dang. But then kind of like DaShaun said, once Oklahoma settled in and started to get comfortable, man, there was nothing Nebraska could do. Oklahoma overwhelmed them up front, overwhelmed them. The Nebraska offensive line, who, by the way, has had a lot of success to this point. That's the interesting thing. Their offense has not struggled. It's been the defense that's really struggled. The offensive line, I mean, Anthony Grant had a 100-yard game in each of the first 3 games, and they had done a relatively good job executing their offense, and they couldn't get anything right. They couldn't base block Oklahoma. They couldn't ID where the pressures were coming from. There were free runners all day. Like, that's what jumped out to me, just schematically, what Ted Roof, Brent Venables threw at that Nebraska offensive line. They were overwhelmed and really had no chance throughout the course of that ball game.
None. And I thought Oklahoma's defensive front did what they should do to that Nebraska offensive line, because that Nebraska offensive line lacks talent.
They were not very good.
I mean, they are that is not a talented group. I also don't think they're particularly well coached either, with some of the things they do when it comes to run blocking technique. Get very narrow in their base. It's bizarre. But I thought, going back and watching the tape of it, I just kind of put myself back in the center role, and it gave me a little anxiety watching it, being like, oh my gosh, just stuff just coming from everywhere, pressure-wise. And it just, like you used the perfect word, it overwhelmed them. And I thought Casey Thompson, at that second quarter, he
wanted no part of it. He wanted no part. He's tapping out.
The bullets were flying, man. And he was just like, man, and they did not do a particularly good job protecting him. They couldn't get much going in the run game after that first drive. The really impressive part was how that defense handled the adversity of the start of that football game.
Yeah.
Right. Crowds all against you. Nebraska offense goes right down the field, and no one panicked. Right, I was down there on the sideline. No one's panicking. No one's screaming at each other. Everyone was just laser focused on Venables in the defensive huddle, making the proper adjustments on the sideline. He was calming everyone down, and they went out there and executed the game plan, man. And it was fun to watch. I really enjoyed watching it, and what a performance. The thing that keeps standing out, the amount of negative plays they're producing for opposing offenses. Dusty, that's the biggest difference from what I've seen so far is, man, they just tackles for loss. They're racking them up. Number 1 in the country right now.
Yep. I believe 32 now, if memory serves. They had 9 in the first game, 14 the second, 9 in this game. That's what Coach Venables does. I mean, that's who he is. That's him to a T. So I agree. Like the tackles I think it's more than just the tackles for loss. So like DaShaun White, you and I were talking earlier. It's the best I've ever seen him look on a football field in Norman, Oklahoma. He is playing so fast. He is playing so confident. He has such a good understanding of how he fits in this defense and how the offense is attacking him. Preparation is so key. And we talk so much about attention to details with Brent Venables. You're seeing why there is all the attention to details. because then when you go out there on game day, you've seen it all. You've talked through it. You know exactly what to expect and what to anticipate. And then whenever it happens, for real, you just go and you play fast. And I see that with a lot of guys right now. And it's fun to watch. Billy Bowman is playing so fast. Holy cow. I mean, just flying around. Thought it was good to see Key Lawrence back out there playing well, making some nice tackles, creating some takeaways that we see with Key. You know who else I thought played his best game? Ethan Downs. I thought Ethan Downs with his hands. Now, part of it, that left tackle, as you kind of mentioned, oh boy, he wasn't great. But he was getting his hands off him constantly, working his hands, still need to work on the celebration. He had a nice TFL and a nice sack. Both of them is like, you would have thought he was just like, got called for a false start or like an offsides or something. He's like, oh. Like, we got to work on that. We got to get him to, like, he's just such a machine.
He went with like a scream, like head shake type thing, but after one. It was okay.
It was okay. The sack, there was nothing. And it may have been because there was a chop block on the sack. And so I think maybe he didn't know if it was going to hold up or something. So maybe he was a little nervous, but I see so much good. The effort to the football, the way they're executing. And again, like, they just throw so much stuff at you. And it's not just pressures, it's coverages. They mix and match man and zone and just really make it difficult. We talk so much about the difficulty on the offensive line. It's going to be difficult on quarterbacks to be able to identify what coverages this secondary is in throughout the course of a ball game. And I'd be lying if I didn't say it was an absolute thing of beauty. I mean, it was awesome. The offense was great in its own right. I thought Jeff Lebby was superb. And we can get to that more on Wednesday, but from a defensive perspective, that was as good, I think, as that group could have possibly performed, given the circumstances, given what they were walking into. And for Nebraska to go down like they did in that opening drive, and after that, essentially the next, 3+ quarters, you completely shut the faucet off for the most part. I thought it was as impressive a road defensive performance as I can remember in quite some time.
Yeah. They went on the road, got punched in the face, popped up, and beat the hell out of Nebraska.
Yep.
And it was, defensively, I thought, other than the touchdown, right? Other than giving up the big play on the post there.
Yep.
Another really nice performance when it comes to limiting explosive plays. Right?
Which plagued this team last year.
Yeah. Only a handful of explosive runs, only a couple explosive passes. Like, they're continuing to limit those explosives and to tackle well in space and to get a bunch of guys to the football. And I still think this defense is going to improve significantly as they become more and more confident in all these different schemes and these things they're implementing week to week in their game planning. Like, it's, for me, especially, they're healthy too, right? Came out clean. So I expect this thing to keep improving, which is, it's really exciting to think about.
Beyond exciting. Saturday was a lot of fun for a lot of folks, whether you were in Lincoln, Nebraska, or you were somewhere else watching. Huge win for the Oklahoma Sooners as they roll the Cornhuskers 49-14. And I got no problem saying it. That game made me nervous. And it made me nervous for exactly what we saw in that opening drive. But this team was so well prepared for that moment, for that environment, and for exactly what Nebraska was going to try to do to them on both sides of the ball. They went out there. As you said, they took that initial punch and they opened up a can of whoop ass the rest of the way. And I think you made a statement to the college football world and to the Big 12 as we get ready to get into Big 12 play this week, that this Oklahoma team, man, you better strap up and get ready to play because though there's an entirely new regime and all these new faces, it's still Oklahoma football, and they're going to execute and play at a really high level. Big thanks to Muse Growth Strategies for continuing to help us spread the word about strengthening Oklahoma. And as we always tell you guys, big thanks to you, our subscribers. Thank you guys so much for fueling this project that we have, for making this thing go, for believing in us, for believing in our players here at Strengthening Oklahoma. We appreciate you. We thank you. And we'll see you again next time right here on Strengthening Oklahoma.